Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the digital asset investor, and Chinu Patel made me aware yesterday afternoon that I was not referring to him as his proper title, and so I wanted to apologize to him because he's correct. He's been sending me all kinds of good information. I have not been referring to Chinu Patel with his title, which is the official financial network news bureau chief of the planet of the Digital Asset Investor channel, and that is his title. Let me say it again since I offended him. The official financial network news bureau chief of the planet of the Digital Asset Investor channel. Now that's obviously that's a very important title, and so I wanted to apologize to Chinu Patel. Okay, he sent me a couple of things this morning. First one here's from the Rhythm Trader. Not owning Bitcoin is just as much of an investment as owning Bitcoin. You're instead just investing in the current system, which values spending over saving, prints money and manipulates, rages trade and currency war, has $17 trillion of negative yielding debt. Choose wisely. And I believe that's a pretty simple choice if you're not just one of the flock and you're actually thinking for yourself. And if you want to really know why more people have not caught on to crypto, it's purely for that reason. Most people are a part of the flock and they do what they're told. And if you're listening to my voice, there's a good chance that you're not one of those in the flock, because we're thinking for ourselves here. And this is something my father says to me all the time. He says, I've always made money on investments when what I was doing made complete sense, no matter who, even if my financial advisor was telling me something completely opposite, if everything that I was looking at after I did my research and did my study, if it all made complete sense to me and it was very clear to me that this makes sense, I ultimately made money. Anytime I tried to listen to other people's opinions, if I had not done the research myself, that's where I lost money. So I've always remembered that. Okay. Next, now this is big. Brad Combs from Investment Perspectives had tweeted this out from Stewart XRP. What you're looking at is these two ladies here are at Cybos 2019. And this lady right here is Natalie Blythe, the head of Trade and Receivables Finance for HSBC. And what's interesting here is they're doing an interview, and then this lady almost goes on a rant basically and says that at HSBC, they're kind of tired of all of the pilot programs and they're ready to go live with everything. Really an amazing piece of video here that you need to go watch. And you also need to go give Stewart _XRP a follow, because this guy really puts it out. Okay, this is a great tweet that I saw. This is a tweet from David Schwartz. It's a reply to Roger Vere's tweet. Roger Ver says fundamentals matter more than short-term price movements. And then David Schwartz comes in and he says, the tide will come in and the tide will go out, but the sea level is rising. And he's exactly right. And I retweeted that and I said, who knows what the tide could bring? Chuck Nolan, Castaway. That's one of my sons and my favorite movie. And I showed my favorite scene on Twitter the other day. It's when he's sitting there after he's been rescued in his hotel room, and he's talking about what all had happened to him, and he's basically just saying, but I have to keep just waking up each morning and going forward. And he basically says, because tomorrow the sun's going to rise, and who knows what the tide could bring in. He was talking about that sail coming in onto the island when he was stranded. Amazing movie. Okay. Next, from Heisen Zerp. Ed Heisen Zerp sent me this. This is big time right here. Big time. Ripple tweeted this out yesterday. Exciting day for Spring and the XRP ecosystem. Ripple acquires Logos. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. Logos Network, Logos Payments, to join Spring in helping to build the Internet of Value. And this is Ethan Beard, who runs Spring. Let me make sure I follow him. I don't remember. Yeah, I do. Our Ripple New York team continues to grow, and he's talking about how they've acquired this and to focus on DeFi and XRP. Now, what is DeFi? Well, let's look here from Mike Preston at Mike Preston CW12 sent me this article. This is an article covering what I just showed you. Ripple has made its first move towards building decentralized finance. So that's what DeFi is decentralized finance, products based on XRP. With its acquisition of decentralized payments platform Logos Network, Ripple's investment arm Spring will add 9 New York-based engineers. Logos founder and CEO, this guy, Let me go forward just a little bit. Before joining Spring, Logos was working to build a payments network inspired by the Bitcoin blockchain with a focus on scalable, rapid network that still maintains high levels of security. The Logos acquire hires will now help Ripple build XRP derivatives, loans, futures, and forwards, said Ethan Beard, Senior VP of Spring. Let me read that again. The Logos acquire hires will now help Ripple build XRP derivatives, loans, futures, and forwards, said Ethan Beard. We're still in an early stage of figuring this out, Beard said, adding, we've made investments in DeFi companies in the past. We invested in Securitize and Dharma, but it's now an area where we're building. And then I want to take you down to here. This is amazing. With this acquisition, Spring now has a team of 32 employees, having grown from a team of just 2 last May. Beard hopes the same financial institutions that take advantage of RippleNet to achieve real-time payments and real-time fiat settlements will be interested in XRP-based DeFi products. In particular, I'm interested in debt and lending and what that looks like, Beard said, adding, it didn't take long after the first creation of fiat for someone to go to a person who had some and say, hey, can I borrow that? All right, now let's give some credit here. Brad Combs has been hitting on this, the concept of debt, of lending of XRP for a while now. You can go back and listen to some of his, and that's Brad Combs' channel. Go give him a subscribe. This right here is big. And I've touched on it a little bit. I've said to you before, you may never sell your XRP. There's a very good chance that if you're listening to my voice right now and you hold a few thousand XRP, that you will be independently wealthy and you'll have a cost basis that's so low that you really won't want to sell your XRP, but you can instead get loans against that XRP to live. That is a very possible scenario for a lot of us in this space that are here so early. But this is huge right here, folks. All right. And then I tweeted this out yesterday. We've been hearing about all this economic news that's so bad. I tweeted this out just to remind you, remember Cyprus as you watch the global economic crisis unfold. Cyprus was the first place where they tested the bail-in concept. And for those of you who've never heard me talk about it, a bail-in is where they close your bank, they declare a bank holiday, they close your bank account, and then they say to you, well, we're just going to shave 10 or 15% of your money, of your savings out of your bank account, and we're going to steal it. That's not what they call it, but I call it that. We're going to steal that money. We're going to call it your patriotic duty because your country's in a financial straits that your politicians put us in, but we're still in a financial strait, and it's your patriotic duty to let us shave 10 or 15% out of your bank account. That happened. That has been written into the policy of many banks. I've shown you the documents from Bank of England before. Okay, so I Am Legion came in and responded to this. He says, well, if you still have large amounts of cash in your bank account after hearing Brad Combs' repo video last night and DAI warnings about bail-ins and inverted yield curves and Warren Buffett going cash 122 billion, then I guess you do like pain. So he's right. Okay. And then there's this, X lighting the way. This should be interesting. I wanted to show you this just to show you just how scary this fight could get in this trade war and everything going on between the U.S. and China. White House is considering delisting Chinese companies from U.S. stock exchanges and limiting Americans' exposure to the Chinese market through government pension funds, among other financial restrictions. Well, when I read this, it reminds me of that quote I said the other day: if you set out to destroy a person, dig two graves. That's what this kind of reminds me of. If this trade war begins, if the U.S. begins to do things like this, you're going to see China retaliate and do some scary things of their own, and it could be dumping U.S. treasuries. But believe you me, the U.S. can claim to be a superpower and all that, but when you've got over $22 trillion in debt, that's a scary thing on one hand, oh yeah, we're superpower, but on the other hand, to owe that kind of money, it's dangerous. Might not be near as powerful as they think. Okay. Next, I also tweeted that I just thought this was funny yesterday, but it also shows you what people are doing. Indian airline passenger busted smuggling gold in his man boobs. Upon a thorough inspection, the customs officers found nearly $50,000 worth of gold hidden in the man's brassiere, as well as a lady's purse. And so I said this has to be a leading economic indicator. He could have transferred this value in 3 to 4 seconds with XRP and wouldn't even need his man boobs. Okay, Michelle Vandenberg sent me this. This is interesting too. Ripple, this is so smart what Ripple's doing. So Ripple has announced that they are expanding their university blockchain research initiative to Japan, increasing the number of university partners to 33 and growing the number of countries that the initiative covers to 14. And this right here is so smart because all industry is born of these universities, or most of it is, folks. And I've told the story on this channel before. The first time I ever saw a mouse that you use when you're surfing your computer or surfing the internet, the first time I ever saw one was in the Computer Science Center at Georgia Tech, which my cousin was going to Georgia Tech at the time. He's now a professor at Georgia Tech. But that's the first place anyone ever showed me a mouse. And we looked at that thing and he said, these will be in every home. And we just kind of shook our head like, I don't know what that is. But that's what Ripple's doing, is they know that by getting this blockchain research initiative going in all these universities, that all sorts of use cases will be born for XRP. Okay, Kyle Falco sent me a little reminder, and I thought I would show some of you that have never seen any of this about Liechtenstein. He's at KYLIT0 sent me this. Liechtenstein. It's a little tiny country, area 160 kilometers square, world's highest GDP. No external debt. Unemployment is 2.2%. Uses the Swiss franc. Has more businesses than people. Now that is what you get when you are not some regulatory nightmare like the United States is right now for businesses. This is what you get. More businesses than people. But I wanted to show, some of you have never heard me talk about Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein is one of the places that has become ground zero for blockchain. The reason that that's important is because Liechtenstein, just like Switzerland, for, I guess, centuries or at least decades, has been the go-to place for billionaires. And with digital assets, they will become trillionaires. But the billionaires of the world have gone to Liechtenstein and to Switzerland to park their money because of the lack of regulations and friendly banking laws. And now Liechtenstein and Switzerland are two of the leading countries in blockchain. Why do you think that would be, folks? Why do you think that would be? So I started talking about this back in 2018, and I was showing you some of the, it says, move over Malta, so long Switzerland, the Principality of Liechtenstein is where it's at as far as blockchain and crypto in Europe are concerned. A raft of developments, So anyway, Liechtenstein, this tiny little country who has such friendly laws for people to go and put their money, is really heading up the blockchain regulation, the regulatory environment and everything. And this is an article from last year. But there are also articles that have popped up. I mean, you type in Liechtenstein and crypto, and you'll see 4 or 5 articles in the last 5 days. And there's a reason for that. So the genius that is CZ Binance, the CEO of Binance, partnered with them to create the Binance LCX exchange over there. And many of you will remember back in 2018, we had pictures of CZ Binance going over. I think this is is he the prime minister of this country? Yeah, he's the prime minister of Liechtenstein, Adrian Hasler. And then this guy is it Marty Metz? Let me look here. Monty Metzger. He's the CEO of LCX exchange. But this was covered back during that time, and you'll see them in Liechtenstein. Looks like a really nice place. I've said that when we moon, I'm going to meet you all in Liechtenstein. But look at that view. I'm going to have to take this thumbnail and put XRP here in the mountains. I like that picture. But then here's another. This is a recent article from September 24th. Liechtenstein bets on blockchain and crypto, and they're just doing another feature article about how Liechtenstein is this booming blockchain country. And it's just such a tiny country. Now, you might also remember this from August 28th of 2018. That's Michael Arrington of Arrington XRP Capital. Now, who is this guy right here? That would be Ethan Beard. That would be CZ Binance. And these guys, it says, earlier this month, I visited the tiny European country of Liechtenstein, population 40,000. I was there to celebrate the announcement of the new crypto exchange LCX. But we've always asked the question is, why was Ethan Beard over there, the guy that runs Xpring for Ripple? Well, I think that if somebody can remind me if we've already heard news of him doing something in Liechtenstein. I don't think we have yet, but I think we will. But anyway, Liechtenstein is always a place to keep your eye on. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that all eyes should be on Liechtenstein. We don't know what's going to happen for XRP out of Liechtenstein, but I think it's going to be big things. Thank you for listening.